Okay, so I probably don't look like an electrician to you, which I've got to confess I'm not. And before you turn off the video, you're probably thinking, well, what the hell am I watching this for? To learn to become an electrician. And the reason being is my company got its butt kicked a little bit from COVID, to say the least. So last year I started to panic and I wondered what could I do to be an alternative income and pay the bills. So I own a couple of properties which I let out anyway, and one of the trades I can never seem to get hold of is an electrician, surprise, surprise. They're always too busy, or I can never get hold of them, or yeah, it's just a difficult thing to do. So I started thinking maybe electrician is a good way to go. Now I've done bits and pieces on the properties I let. I've changed the odd light fitting, nothing too major. Watched lots of YouTube videos on how to do basic stuff, and thought, yeah, I quite like this. So to cut a long story short, I started to look at options on becoming an electrician, and I quickly realised that it's a bit of a minefield on what you actually do and what the steps are to trying to become an electrician. So I'm basically making these videos now to kind of let someone starting from scratch like myself follow my journey in order to become an electrician. Now I'm kind of a few steps down the line now. I have actually got qualified now. I've just started to do some experience with a company, but I'm no means an expert at the moment as electricians go. Definitely not a newbie anymore, that's for sure. And I've got some decent qualifications, and I'm going to point out those qualifications to you because you know these are the qualifications you need to get you over the line to get companies to entertain taking you on. Now, I want to be clear that the route I took is by no means the only route you can take to being an electrician, but it's certainly the one that seemed to work for me. I mean, I'm 42, so going back to college full-time really is not an option for me. So I looked at these intense courses where you do a week course, then an exam, and then another week course and exam, blah, blah, blah. That all seemed too much of a rush to me. So I looked at other alternatives eventually, which got me into doing weekends. Now, the first company I came across was tradeskills4u. And they're based up in, I think they're in Coventry and they're in Gatwick. Now, I had to book a hotel and go up there and stay there for a week to do the first course. But the very first thing I have to say about them is the website's a little bit misleading. I felt like the courses I booked would ultimately lead me to a position where I could be an electrician. And I spent probably the best part of £3,500 on courses with them. Now, I did the first week, which in all honesty, what you learn in that first week, you could probably learn by watching some YouTube videos, in all honesty. And I came across a stroke of luck, really, because a second wave of COVID came along, and I did the first week of college with tradeskills4u, and they cancelled my second week. So being a married man with children, my wife works, I couldn't just drop everything and rearrange my days to go and stay up in Gatwick to do the course. So I kind of demanded a refund, and I'm glad I did, because I then started to look around for other companies. Now, tradeskills4u, they're okay, don't get me wrong, I don't want to be slandering a company, but in all honesty, the 1 week I did spend there doing the basics, I felt like it could have been condensed down into 2 or 3 days. It didn't need a week. In fact, the first day the tutor spent probably 2 hours telling us about his life, which I got a little bit frustrated about. And I spoke to some of the other students there, all adults like me, ranging in age in their 30s, 40s, some as young as 20s, and they all kind of felt the same as well, to be honest. And you know, the tutor was kind of talking about stuff that didn't really make a lot of sense to me, in all honesty. So yeah, luckily I got a refund. Now, I came across a wonderful college, and they really are good, I will say this, called True Tech Training, and they are based in Cardiff. Now, I don't know where you are. I live in Bath, so for me, Cardiff was about an hour and 10-minute drive. I could go there at the weekends, with exception to the last qualification I did, which was a City and Guilds 2391, which is much more higher level, which did actually need a Monday to Friday week to do. But all the other stuff was weekends. I was doing 2 weekends on, 1 weekend off, and it worked brilliantly. You get that weekend off, and in between you can kind of revise, you can do some research, you can study the stuff you've previously learned. So when you go back into college the following week, you know, you're much more up together and you can push on. And it worked really well. They've got great facilities. They have these wonderful terrace houses built in to the college, which I say terrace house, they're not really a terraced house, but they're kind of mock houses. And at the very end of the course, they let you and the other students in your class, which is a much smaller class than Trade Skills 4u, which improved things. I think there was maybe 6 of us. They unleash us on this house, and we do a full rewire on this property. We run the wires, we install the shower wiring, the lighting, everything, and it's a real good experience to kind of give you a little bit more real world experience, other than just using the college boards that they give you, which have a consumer unit on, and you run a ring final circuit, which is a socket circuit essentially, and a lighting circuit and all these other things off of. So yeah, they were a really, really good college. And the wonderful thing about True Tech Training also was that I spent the exact same money I spent with Trade Skills 4u, but I came out much more qualified and much more prepared to jump into a job. So if I had followed the pathway that Trade Skills 4u wanted me to follow, now I'm just plucking this maths out of the air, it's not accurate by any means. I've got a feeling it was around about £6,000 I would have had to have spent, maybe £6,500 with Trade Skills 4u, to get in a position where I would be wanted by a company and I wouldn't be a hindrance. But with True Tech Training, I spent about £3,500, and instead of doing a City and Guilds, I did what's called an EAL. So I did an EAL level 3 in domestic dwelling. I did the building regs, they also known as Part P. I did the 18th edition wiring regulations exam. That was quite difficult, I will say, but I got there. I also did City and Guilds there as well, which was the 2392 Test and Inspect level 2 and the 2391 Test and Inspect level 3. Now, all of those qualifications together, in theory, they are enough for you to go and join NAPIT. This will change, I've heard, though. And NAPIT is a competent person scheme that will let you sign off your own work in a domestic dwelling environment. So you won't be able to do the commercial stuff, but you could go into a house, you could in theory install a new circuit, maybe a new ring final or a new lighting circuit, or even a garage supply, and you would be able to sign that work off yourself, which is crucial. Now, if you were not in that position to do that, you would have to contact building control. You'd probably have to spend the best part of about £300, and they would come out, inspect your work, and then they would sign it off, which, let's face it, if you're doing a garage supply install and you've got to add £300 to it, again, this is just me plucking a figure from air. I don't know the precise figure, and it could be different depending on where you're from. That is going to majorly kill your quote, I would imagine. So, in a nutshell, you can join a competent person scheme off the back of these courses. Now, for me, I don't feel ready to do that. I'm more inclined to say you're better off jumping on a company and getting some experience for a year or two. Preferably 2 years, because once you've done 2 years experience and you've catalogued some of your work, you can then approach some of the other competent person schemes. Is it the NIEIC? I may be saying that wrong. I forget the letters in order. Or any other number of competent person schemes, and then be able to sign off your own work then. And I don't know about you, but for me, with electricity being as dangerous as it is, although I do feel quite confident to do a lot of things now I've done those courses, there's still a lot of stuff that may be rusty in my mind where I haven't done it enough. And there may be a lot of stuff about the building fabric of a house that I need to learn from someone who's been doing it for a long time. So yeah, in a nutshell, for me, true tech training, absolutely first class. You can give them a call. There's a woman called Andrea there. Her and her husband have set the company up. I think they're even opening another college somewhere else in the country. I'm not entirely sure where that is. But yeah, they're good guys. They deliver good value, and the tutors are working electricians. That for me is very important. You know, these guys know what they're doing. It's not like you're going into an environment where someone's retired and they've been a teacher for 10 years and they haven't really worked in the real world. Things have changed and they're kind of just teaching you out of a textbook. You know, these are real working sparkies, and they're out there doing the job, making good money, but they enjoy teaching. I think that the difference between youth learning and adult learning is, for someone like me who's paying all this money, when I go into college, I want to learn, and they like that, you know, and that gives them, I guess, job satisfaction by way of teaching them. So yeah, I want you guys to follow my journey if you'd like to. I've probably been talking quite a long time. Currently driving a taxi because I'm doing a part-time taxi role in my current business while I learn the trade of being a sparky. I know not everyone's going to be in the position where they can still earn money elsewhere. Some people may need to just dive straight in, but that's the path I'm taking. So yeah, it would be great if you wanted to follow my journey. I'm going to be looking at various tools that I've acquired, that I found have made life easy, some of the problems I've come across, how I've gone about finding a company to work for. Yeah, so follow me along and subscribe to my channel, and hopefully we'll follow the journey and learn together. So yeah, speak to you in the next video.